My brother thought he won. He thought I'd be crushed, humiliated, pushed aside forever. I'm Dahlia. And on that cold, unforgiving day when he slammed the door on our family business, I felt like the ground beneath me shattered into a million pieces. I still remember the weight of the cold metal key in his hand, the key to everything we'd built together now, his alone. His eyes didn't just say, "I won," they screamed it. How could he think he could take everything from me and just walk away like it was nothing? I whispered to the empty room, clutching the worn-out locket my father gave me, the only thing I had left from when the family was whole. The silence that followed was deafening. That moment was supposed to break me, but instead, it lit a fire. I wasn't going to be the girl who sat quietly while her world collapsed. I was going to rise. The months after were brutal. I felt the sting of betrayal every time someone turned their back, every whispered rumor that painted me as the failure, the loser. I spent countless nights staring at the ceiling, wrestling with the ghosts of what could have been the deals lost, the trust broken, the dreams stolen. But beneath the pain, beneath the doubt, a fierce defiance grew. A voice inside whispered, "You're not done. Not yet." I worked 2 jobs, studied our business like a hawk, and built alliances quietly, one conversation at a time. I wasn't just reclaiming a company, I was reclaiming myself. Now, as I stand in the lobby of the very building he thought was his forever, the smell of fresh paint fills the air, a scent of new beginnings. I clutch the keys in my hand, feeling their weight. This is my victory, forged in pain and determination. The city lights twinkle beyond the windows, but my focus is sharper than ever. Because this story isn't about losing. It's about coming back stronger. It's about rewriting the rules and winning on my own terms. This is my moment. And I'm just getting started. If you had asked me back then, I would have said my brother and I were inseparable, the kind of siblings who shared everything. Dreams, secrets, even late-night plans for the family business. But beneath the smiles and handshakes, something was quietly rotting. Something I was blind to until it hit me like a freight train. I remember the moment I first sensed the shift a whispered phone call cut short when I entered the room, the way his eyes darted away, avoiding mine. I brushed it off as stress. But the truth was far darker. Behind my back he was plotting, manipulating, slowly carving me out of the very legacy we built. He twisted the narrative, painting me as unreliable, reckless, the scapegoat for every problem that arose. And family members, friends, even long-time employees started believing his story. I was shocked, hurt beyond words. How could someone I trusted so deeply become the architect of my downfall? For weeks, I confronted myself more than him, questioning every decision, every misstep. Was I really the person he made me out to be? The loneliness was suffocating. People I thought were allies began to distance themselves. Phone calls went unanswered. Invitations stopped coming. I was falling into a silent abyss. Yet, in the darkest moments, I found sparks of strength. A voice inside me whispered that the truth was still mine to claim, that I wasn't the failure he made me out to be. I started digging, quietly gathering facts, piecing together the web of lies. Every discovery fueled my fire. Every betrayal steeled my resolve. I realized this wasn't just about business, it was a war for identity, for respect, for survival. I wasn't just fighting for what I had lost. I was fighting for who I was. Some nights, exhaustion would hit like a tidal wave, threatening to drown me in despair. But every morning, I woke with renewed determination. I reached out to a handful of trusted friends, those who saw me beyond the rumors. They became my lifeline, my support system in a world that suddenly felt cold and unforgiving. I enrolled in courses about business management and leadership, sharpening my skills, proving to myself that I could grow stronger. Little by little, I started rebuilding not just a career, but my confidence. The pain of betrayal was still there, an ache beneath the surface, but it no longer defined me. I was no longer the sister pushed aside. I was Dahlia, a woman reclaiming her story, ready to fight back with everything she had. And the fight was just beginning. I thought I knew the battlefield. I thought the enemy was just my brother. But as I dug deeper, I uncovered secrets that shook me to my core. There were quiet conversations, in hushed tones about deals made behind closed doors, alliances forged in shadows. People I once trusted were playing a different game, and I had been a pawn. One night, in the dim light of my apartment, I found an old folder filled with emails and documents that weren't meant for my eyes. They revealed something I hadn't anticipated. My brother wasn't acting alone. There were others who wanted the business, and they were ready to destroy me to get it. Betrayal was thicker than blood. It was a web, and I was caught in the center. But instead of breaking me, the truth ignited a firestorm. I wasn't just going to fight my brother. I was going to outsmart everyone. With every piece of information I gathered, I built a new strategy not just to reclaim what was lost, but to take it higher than anyone dreamed possible. I reached out to old mentors and experts I had once dismissed. I assembled a team, not of yes men, but of fierce, loyal warriors who believed in the vision I still held. And then came the hardest part, making the move. I bought out a rival company, a bold, audacious step that shocked the entire industry. The news spread like wildfire. My brother thought he won, I thought with a smirk, but I just bought the business and made it even bigger. Suddenly, I was no longer the underdog. I was the force no one saw coming. Board meetings turned into battlegrounds where I spoke with calm confidence, backed by facts, passion, and a relentless will. Employees who once doubted me started to believe again. Clients who walked away returned. And my brother, he watched from the sidelines, his smug smile fading with every move I made. But the victory wasn't just about the business. It was about reclaiming my identity, rewriting the story that was once stolen from me. The woman they tried to erase was here, stronger and wiser. And this was only the beginning of my comeback. After the boardroom victories and headlines praising my comeback, I thought the hardest part was over. But rebuilding the business was only half the fight. Rebuilding trust, especially with myself, was the real battle. The betrayal had cut deeper than I realized. Every handshake, every smile from colleagues and clients came with a shadow of doubt. Did they really believe in me, or was I just a passing phase? The whispers never stopped. Can Dahlia really run the company? They'd ask behind closed doors. Even my closest allies carried their own fears, scars from past disappointments. I found myself walking a tightrope between confidence and insecurity. Some nights, I'd stare out the office window, watching the city lights flicker, and wonder if I was enough. Was I the leader they needed? The sister my family hoped I'd be? Trust isn't rebuilt overnight. It's slow, fragile, painful. One of the toughest moments came when an old friend, someone I once thought was loyal, betrayed a secret I had shared in confidence. It felt like déjà vu. The sting of betrayal resurfaced, stronger than ever. But this time, I didn't crumble. I set boundaries. I learned to protect my heart without closing it off. Therapy became my sanctuary, a place where I unraveled years of tangled emotion. I confronted the anger, the sadness, the fear. I learned to forgive not just others, but myself. That was the breakthrough. Trusting myself again gave me the strength to trust others. I started small, a genuine conversation, a shared laugh, a silent support during tough days. I rebuilt bridges carefully, brick by brick. With my family, the wounds ran deep. My brother and I navigated a minefield of unspoken words and raw emotions. It wasn't about forgetting what happened, it was about choosing to move forward despite it. Sometimes, trust meant accepting apologies unspoken, or forgiving mistakes never fully explained. Slowly, the walls between us cracked. Not perfectly, not always smoothly, but enough to let light in. The journey taught me that leadership isn't just about strategy or power. It's about vulnerability. It's about showing up even when it hurts and believing in the possibility of healing. As I sit in my office now, surrounded by people who believe in the vision, I realize this. The true comeback isn't just in winning back a business. It's in winning back your own heart. The battles I fought, the betrayals I endured, and the long nights spent questioning myself, all of it, led me to a truth I now hold close. I am not defined by what others try to take from me, but by what I choose to build from the ground up. When I look in the mirror now, I don't just see a woman who survived. I see a woman transformed, shaped by fire, but not broken by it. The journey wasn't easy. Healing doesn't come in neat packages or clear timelines. There were days when the weight of the past threatened to pull me back into the shadows. Doubts whispered in my ear. Am I really worthy of this success? Can I ever trust again? But with every step forward, those voices grew quieter. I learned to forgive not because it erased the pain, but because it freed me from carrying it. I found strength in vulnerability, in asking for help, and in accepting that growth is a messy, beautiful process. My vision for the future is no longer about proving anything to anyone. It's about creating something meaningful, a legacy that reflects not just business success, but integrity, resilience, and the power of second chances. I'm building a company that values people over profits, that nurtures innovation but never at the cost of compassion. I want to inspire others who feel lost or defeated, to show them that the fiercest battles often lead to the brightest victories. My brother's betrayal was a dark chapter, but it's just one part of my story. The pages ahead are mine to write. I envision a future where I lead not from a place of revenge, but from a place of purpose and love, where the scars I carry become symbols of strength, not shame, where every challenge is met with courage, and every setback is a setup for a comeback. Standing here today, with the keys to a thriving business in my hand, I feel a profound gratitude, not just for what I've achieved, but for the woman I've become. Dahlia is no longer defined by her past. She is the architect of her future, and that future is limitless. The day of reckoning arrived like a storm I had been bracing for, yet never fully prepared to face. The conference room was cold, Sterile arena where years of anger, betrayal, and unspoken words would finally clash. My brother sat across from me, his usual smirk replaced by a tight-lipped seriousness that sent a chill down my spine. Around us, board members and colleagues watched silently, sensing the tension crackling in the air. For a moment, silence reigned. Then, he spoke, his voice low and sharp. You think you can just walk back in here, buy everything, and rewrite history? This isn't over, Dahlia. I met his gaze, steady and unyielding. It's not about rewriting history. It's about owning the future. A future I'm building, one you tried to steal from me. His eyes flickered with something I hadn't seen before: regret, anger, or maybe the fear of losing control. The room seemed to shrink as the air thickened with years of unresolved pain. Words were exchanged, not just business talk, but truths long buried beneath layers of silence. I told him how his betrayal felt like a dagger twisting in my heart, how it shattered my trust and nearly destroyed my dreams. He listened, finally vulnerable, confessing mistakes and fears he'd never dared admit. But the confrontation was more than just an airing of grievances. It was a battle for respect, for recognition, for closure. As voices rose and emotions spilled, I felt something inside me ignite a fierce strength born from every hardship, every tear, every moment I thought I couldn't go on. I stood my ground, not as the hurt sister, but as a woman who had reclaimed her power. When the dust settled, we weren't enemies, but two flawed people confronting a painful past. The road ahead was uncertain, but for the first time in years, there was a sliver of hope. Because in that room, amidst tension and truth, I realized that strength isn't just about winning battle-sits, about facing them with courage and grace, and I was ready for whatever came next. Standing at the crossroads of past pain and future promise, I finally understood what this journey was really about. It wasn't just about reclaiming a business or proving my worth to anyone else. It was about reclaiming myself. The battles, betrayals, and heartbreaks had shaped me, yes, but they no longer defined me. Instead, they were the foundations upon which I would build the rest of my life. I looked around the office, the space that once felt like a battlefield, now hummed with possibility. The walls held stories of struggle, but also echoed with laughter, determination, and hope. I thought about the woman I was when this all began, and the woman I had become, stronger, wiser, more compassionate not just to others, but to myself. I realized that forgiveness wasn't about forgetting or excusing the past. It was about freeing myself from its grip, letting go of anger so I could move forward. And moving forward meant embracing the unknown with open arms. There will be challenges ahead, no doubt. There will be moments when doubt creeps in, when the scars of yesterday threaten to reopen. But I have learned that healing is not a destination, it's a continuous journey. I'm ready to walk that path, not alone, but with those who believe in second chances, in growth, and in the power of resilience. To anyone out there who feels broken, betrayed, or lost, know this: you are not alone. Your story is not finished. The darkest nights often lead to the brightest dawns. So, ask yourself, what story do you want to write next? What strength lies dormant within you, waiting to be awakened? If my journey has touched you, if you felt even a spark of hope or courage, I invite you to share your own story below. Let's build a community where healing and empowerment grow. And if you want to walk this path with me to hear more stories of struggle and triumph, please like, subscribe, and join the conversation. Because sometimes, the greatest victories aren't the ones we shout about, they're the quiet moments when we choose to rise again. This is my new dawn, and together, we can face whatever comes next.